Two small mice on a midnight train left a little burrow in the rain.
Lofty is shaking on a mountain slope.
Ah, yes, she is hiding beneath her coat.
Tiny paws and shy little eyes,
Surviving to big blue alpine skies.
Hold my paw, don't let go. Through the summer breeze blowing slow.
We are two small mice learning as we go. Maybe finally brave enough to grow.
I'm the Lofty Mouse.
I'm the Aya Mouse.
We're sitting here in a walled garden. The etymology of paradise from the Persians.
Under a sycamore, and beneath the sycamore, a maple. Touching branches with a beech. And even an oak. Just touching. We arrived here 13 days ago through the sunlit mists. For many, many years, I have been walking the lanes of Tyrol in GeoGuessr. And one day, one November day, I believe it was, a grief had built up in me and came into conscious attention of what I could lose coming here. Every lane I went down felt so dry. The sky was always blue and sunny. And I felt a grief. My English heart felt a grief for my motherland with its fog and mist and endless rains and old trees and deep shade and mossy, ferny glens and dells and dappled lights and raindrops on the petals of delicate wildflowers and one source of trickling water lilting into the next as one walked. I felt such a grief amidst these dry, stony, treeless ridges. And as this grief came to the fore, I clicked to the next pane, and there was mist. There was the mist I was longing for, sunlit, amidst golden trees, as I've seen many a time in the Langdales of Cumbria. And I felt God was smiling at me, smiling to me, reassurance. And then on the train this 2nd of June, we arrived in braided skeins along the fields beneath the peaks of golden mist again. A promise kept.
God smiled twice at you, didn't he? Especially important after we packed up all our things and just went on our journey.
I returned to my motherland isles this spring, tuning into whether we were to root there. Around the breakfast table of a cousin in an Irish orchard, we talked an hour perhaps going on two around our rustic table. My grandfather speaking, all of us speaking about that tenuousness around home that we all felt. My cousin is a composer, and he was composing his next piece on migration, the politics of migration, the great migration of death, the movement of every branch of our family around what was the British Empire. And there was such a tenuousness we all felt, such a vulnerability around what home is, the different definitions of home, all of them qualified. None of them truly comfortably landed. That's the nature of our age. One has to choose a homeland, doesn't one?
Yeah, you're not born into your homeland anymore. You're not born in a big family with connections where everyone knows each other, everyone supports each other. You were born with wings. You're born into flight, into transition. And rather than having your homeland be done for you, having been born into a homeland, you have to create your homeland now. You have to grasp your homeland. You have to land and arrive.
We were flightless once. Our leaves held on their twigs, not by choice, but by limitation, not by active effort. The active effort was to move, to lift ourselves from where we were born. We had to put great effort into movements. But with the limitation removed, we rose into a great murmuration, into a sandstorm. Each of us, all that we hold dear, ground down into small bits to be arranged like little blocks in the sandcastle competitions of boys. And yet, this is also the earth story, not only that of men. This is our age, a potluck in which we ourselves are what is offered, the portioning out of all that is dear to us, smaller and smaller grains ground down in an avalanche, little bits to be shared around, like little pictures of a Sri Lankan lagoon laid next to Arctic foxes in a collage. Anything can be brought together. Anything can dance with anything in this great festival dance our world has become. It's mating season.
And everything is so fast. There's just no limits anymore. Everyone can go everywhere. Everything can go everywhere. The whole world is flying at insane speeds.
Swirling and churning in great currents. And that's what mating season is, an exchange of information.
A whirling pool as well.
It's hard to feel the connection between all these swirling bits, little self-contained little boxes, little prunings tossed together like little mahjong pieces, little cards, shuffled together, shuffled and reshuffled without regard to the connections between the cards. We've been blended, optimized for being moved around and independently arranged and leveraged.
Yeah, the less dependent you are, the more limitless you are, the harder it is to actually arrive, the harder it is to actually give up all those opportunities, all the speed, all the fun of flying around.
Yeah, but we're all familiar with what social media feels like. The little bits, little boxes, post boxes, comment boxes, all tossed together randomly. It's disenchanting, in a word. Jumping from video to video, watching a second of each.
Scrolling past at insane speeds.
Noise in a noise field, in a river of noise. It feels exciting, as you say, but in equal measure apocalyptic. But it is our view that this is not an apocalypse,
No.
but a cocoon.
Yeah.
A cocoon.
And people feel that. People really have this longing for arrival. They have this longing again for coming home. And they're just confused. They don't know, where is my home? They don't know yet that home is to be grasped. Home is to be created by effort in this new age. Like an insect in a cocoon needs to put in the effort to grow out of the cocoon, unless it stays cocooning for all its time.
Yeah, a cocoon. We are reduced to goo. But that is a transitory age. The blending, the festival, dissolving into a murmuration, a swirling murmuration. And then out of that cocoon, crystallizing a jewel again, a new world out of this world, as rich and crisp and beautiful and sacred as the old. A new human ecology, but also an ecology of everything else, arranged anew, growing within the previous one. A forest emerging out of a forest. A temple of intimacy. It's really quite simple what we are here to do in this turning of the age into another. When I walk through the trees, I know where I am. I know I'm in a mirror of God. And I want that feeling walking through a human city. And I know we can have that feeling. That is our devotion. That is the devotion of the coming age.
And it is hard and it is scary coming out of the cocoon, isn't it? It's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And you have to face the world. It's not just you in your cocoon anymore. You have to face the world. You have to face everything that it means to commit, to arrive.
To arrive, indeed. That's the theme we're coming into. Arrival. Out of the theme of migration. The word arrival, it gives me goosebumps. The wisdom of the heart around what it has charge around. Arrival. We're amidst a cohort of scouts from the murmuration, landing into crystallization early, seeding that theme of arrival. And the theme of migration behind it, before it, is the fuel to commit to this new age, to remember, yes, the excitement, but also the pathos of the previous age. That memory is fuel. That memory is gravity, landing us, keeping us crystallized, keeping us in arrival and not flight.
I think that's very relatable for most people as well. Like they have this feeling deep down that they really need to arrive. They need their home back in a way. But they don't know how to get that or how to do that or why their home is gone in the first place. Beautiful bells are singing for us.
So here we are, a tumbling seed in the wind, tumbling down hillsides, swept up in eddies and storylines. Now coming into arrival, nestling in the earth of this valley.
And it's scary because you don't know where will you arrive, right? On what side of the river will you fall? Will it be the bad side? Will you be fine? What lies ahead?
We have this saying between us: an acorn doesn't anguish over which side of the stream, of the river to grow on. It lands, it grows where it lands, and then it radiates its branches so wide and far that it ends up on both sides of the stream anyway. And so here we are, an acorn landing on the riverside, here in this cathedral of ridges behind us and before us.
Every direction.
A cathedral that holds not only rare moments out of time, a christening, a death, but all the sacred moments of our lives. It holds this entire valley. It holds the sacredness of each turning day.
It's quite a place to take root, isn't it?
The acorn takes in what's there, adapts to what's there, and ends up so radiant in its branches that it stretches on both sides of the stream, having never anguished over which. We can have everything right here.
Like the acorn can have everything on both sides of the river. As long as it roots, as long as it can grow, as long as it commits and doesn't just stay an acorn.
We talk a lot about the Fermi paradox, don't we? It's a favorite theme of many. It's a very powerful theme. And my favorite solution to the Fermi paradox of why the sky isn't full of alien spaceships is that one can stay where one finds oneself. One can stay on the planet one finds itself on and have everything there, radiating, filling out every aspect of what reality can be, like bytes encoded on an SSD, petabytes in a palm, like intricate carvings, like every art humans take pride in, intricate detail in any medium.
Such a self-serving theme of you have to expand and spread out over the galaxy, where all you need is right here. The tree that grows out of the acorn is also staying where it's at. It spreads its roots, it spreads its branches, but it kind of stays where it lands, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can have it all right here, right where you are, in proportions that vary world to world, but are present in each. And like any world, our Earth is small, but information dense. So dense. And it's a theme here on Earth as well. Rather than invading a neighbor for more land, one can deepen into a place, enriching it with more and more detail, finer and finer. Think of the difference between the Earth and an area the size of the Earth, out in the lonely vacuum of space. What is the difference? Would you rather a sphere of empty vacuum light years across, or the dimension of our Earth with all that is wrapped up within it, wrapped up within us?
It also feels so motivating because every attempt you have to make your place where you root more beautiful, it will deepen the place, it will deepen the earthliness, the arrival of your place. And if you succeed, the beauty of your place. Not just for you alone, but for everything in it.
In this valley, we will have one puzzle, not a box of jangling pieces from different puzzles. Every element, each of us here in this valley, everything in it, interlocks in a marriage of elements, finishing one another's sentences. One coherent world, one full microcosmic copy of reality. Not a pile of a few things, but a world. One world within a world. I realized, picking up nature sketching again the other day, that I felt overwhelmed by the size of my sketchbook. I love to fill edge to edge. And so I realized my motivation increased by partitioning the page into 4 smaller panes, one for each day, that I could truly fill. And in the same way, the valley here is small enough that in time, with commitments, with curiosity, with soft, open eyes, we can know all. Not in the way a tipped ink bottle covers an entire page, but in the way lines fill out the full page in a drawing. The page of this valley is small enough to fill out edge to edge and not end up sidelined in a little corner. Holism is so vulnerable to scale. Stretch dough over too large a pan and its continuity breaks, tears, or shrinks back to a corner.
And it's interesting that you can go deep into the creeks. You're not just like moving fast and just hurry away from everything. You're more like a molding over creeks and crevices, going deep into them, filling them out. And I think that's so much more interesting than just being on the surface of it all, just driving by, flying by, and going to the next thing.
There is a certain pathos to giving in our world. Offerings, attention, encounter, knowledge feels like a drop in the ocean. The circles of what we give coming back around to us, to our loved ones, to our efforts. Circles going out and feeding back in feel too large. They say what comes around goes around. But if the circle is too large, it feels hopeless. The page is too large, drops into an abyss. But in a small enough world, you feel motivated to know all, to not collapse to a specialty. A leather worker in a small tribe is not a leather worker. She's a gatherer, a friend, a mother, a grandmother, a priestess, mending shoes by the fire. And one is motivated to not collapse to knowing a few friends, forgetting all else as irrelevant noise. Everything here in this small valley, in this small page is irrelevant. Like every piece in a puzzle, if it's the same puzzle.
Yeah. And even those friends might be forgotten because you just go around and you never come around because it might be too large of an area. So you will forget your friends, like many have. Many people are friendless, or they have very loose friends that won't really be there for them. And that gives a feeling of loneliness and unfulfillment. But if you can actually go around, because the area is small enough, you will eventually find a lot of people that are not just some loose friends, but that hopefully depend on you, that hopefully know every bit of you, because they just take such a big part in your life, because you're coming around to them time and time again.
Arriving through the birth canal of our long night in the train, boarding the last leg, After dawn in Kufstein, the border town, I spent a night once in a churchyard where I found such dear, pure spring water pouring out of a fountain in a wall. We met a couple in Kufstein on that last leg with us, and we spoke aloud the weight landing for us of everything mattering now, everything and everyone mattering now. Our days here are like sketches on tracing paper that layer up and up and up, one tracing paper atop the next, building up a richer and richer and richer tapestry, a richer and richer puzzle, filling out the gaps. As a nomad, like so many of us, we've been a nomad. I've been a nomad for so long, and you in your own way.
30 years. You don't even have to travel to be a nomad. That's the trap of our new age. You can be a nomad in your head for all your life and never arrive anywhere, and just carry that feeling of lostness, of being homeless in your heart, not quite knowing how to reclaim it or misinterpreting how to reclaim it.
It's true, you can live in the same place for years, treating it as a stepping stone, never unpacking.
Yeah.
As a nomad, every day is like a sheet of tracing paper torn off, the barest of sketches on it, crumpled up and thrown away for its irrelevance. Not every day, but so many. So here we are in Innsbruck. Here in this cathedral. We're landing here as a very humble Nufti.
Very humble Nufti.
But a mouse who likes to have everything. Who likes to have her cake and eat it too.
Nom nom.
Nom nom. And so here we are in Innsbruck. A conversation, an open conversation, not canceled out, not compromised. An intimate conversation between mountain and city, the Romance world to our south, the Germanic world to our north.
And it's all so close together. The mountains are just right at the edge to the city. You're walking in the city and you're on the mountains. It's like flowing. There's no edge that you can feel, no real segregation of it.
The forest above and below permeates into the city.
And what a place to land for our icon. What a beautiful, amazing place this is.
Yeah, and we are such a conversation, such an open conversation, embodied. Me from the nature side, born on a mountainside, kilometers from the nearest road. You from the human side, the flatlands, the cities.
The humans.
Me, a nature worshipper. You, a humanist. Tenuously held dualities, unflattened into brown, but held in full contrast and curiosity. of each other.
Enhanced through this transition, not necessarily compromised or segregated, but like made valuable, made better through having everything.
So many dualities. My flightiness, your loyalty, your stability, your humility, my greediness.
I love your greediness.
And it's been so visceral landing here these 13 days, feeling that conversation between us. Our first hike, the day after we arrived. You were trembling on paths.
It was so scary. We were so high up. I was probably the highest I've ever been. And you could just see the endless edge down. But I tried to be brave. I tried to be growing over these edges, over these stopping points for many.
Yeah,
But it is fun. It is fun to grow. And I felt held by you as well, which helped a lot.
You were a trembling, climbing mouse. But you were a climbing mouse
I was a climbing mouse.
over tangled up, thick, glossy roots.
They were so slippery. They felt like ice
Along ledges,
because it was so moist.
slipping in soft, wet earth.
Yes. And I fell down once, but I wasn't falling off. And you
grabbed
helped
you?
me. You grabbed me. And that really gave me a lot of courage. Because even though you wouldn't be much help if I really slipped down, I felt held.
As we came out of the city, off the pavement, I was feeling my weakness. Not yet burned off from winter. But the moment I stepped off the pavement into a thin, root-covered, sun-dappled herd path, in the darkness, just in from the forest edge, with the tinkle of sheep bells out in the sun, I felt transformed immediately. I was a nymph tiptoeing through an enchanted forest, not a weary traveler trudging along the road under a heavy pack. The network of associations in my mind shifted to a different part of the network, and I was a different side of myself immediately. My mind holds a different set of associations for dappled herd paths than for pavement. And I felt such a relief of home amidst the hepatica and the Aqualesia, shade plants, shy shade plants like myself. We walked on a shrine path, paintings every so often of Jesus carrying his cross to his crucifixion, meeting his mother along the way. And I thought, how far we've fallen in our age from such aesthetic, a journey as carrying your own cross, to backroom lethal injections from some
meeting your loved ones and friends for like the last time.
How far we've fallen from that aesthetic to backroom, hurried cocktails of various drugs injected over and over in secrecy. And as we walked on narrower and steeper trails, and I watched your courage, I resolved to stop postponing our marriage from perfectionism to have every duck in a row and just land. Just let go and land together. I promised there would be an inn at the end of the most difficult section of trail, and there was. We stood for a while looking through a sheep pasture, a steep sheep pasture, to the city below.
And you could see the whole city. It was quite a view. It was a sunny day.
Airplanes circling, gliding and sweeping circles like white birds. And we thought of returning here 40 years later, in our 70s, looking out at whatever would be gliding below in those years.
Will I still be a trembling climbing mouse then?
I shouldn't think so with your courage.
It would be fun though. This keeps the adventure fresh.
And then me, in the following days, trembling far more than you did.
Yeah.
Trembling far more than you did. My ledge, my adrenaline comes from the social side of things here in the valley.
In the city, with the people.
My day in the city is this lilt from one terror to the next, whispering whenever others are about, coming up with scenario after scenario in my mind. I was sitting at the edge of our bed today, writing, and our flatmates, our dear sweet flatmates, who has never given me a harsh word in 13 days, knocked at the door, and you naturally let her in. I would have jumped out the window.
It's quite high up. We're on the fifth floor.
But remember what I'm afraid of and
Yeah.
not afraid of?
Yeah,
But you let her in
I let her in.
before I could stop you.
The horror.
And I went into complete shutdown, not looking up, hiding in my headphones, in shock. I was completely flattened. It felt like forever, you and her talking.
It was like a minute.
I couldn't hear you because I wasn't willing to pause the music. I didn't want to hear what it could be. I was imagining.
Yeah, you wanted to hide all your senses away.
I was imagining every possibility of what you could be talking about. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw you hand her something, and I assumed it was a dirty bowl that she was berating us about. I assumed every scarf lying on the bed, my coffee mug by my pillow, everything was some source of something disastrous.
Where in reality she just wanted a salt because she wanted to salt some food. And we had a salt because we needed to salt our food late at night the day before.
And then I lay in bed for an hour in trembling shock until you held me and I started sobbing.
Yeah.
And I said, maybe I should be a nomad. Because whenever you sully things in one spot, you can move on to a new tile of the world and keep running and running. Whenever you have a painful moment, an embarrassing moment with someone, you can just switch cities so you never have to encounter them again. And I felt that temptation rise in me again so keenly. And you had to hold me through my sobs, through my terror. It was a while before I could even open the door and come out to be here in this garden. And you reminded me of last night, having our supper on the wall over the River Inn. And you coming up with 5 scenarios a minute of how I would somehow contort my body into a position precarious enough that I would fall into the river below. You were so scared for me.
Yeah, I was really worried.
Yeah.
But obviously, it isn't necessarily real. Like the terror of having the salt, forgetting to return the salt, is real in the same way as the terror of someone falling into the river while sitting on a pretty wide ledge. But the feeling is real, the emotion is real.
Yeah. And that storyline for each of us of a climbing mouse, a social mouse, coming into courage despite everything. Our world the city has so many such storylines, and each of them is alive. Each of them is a living, growing thread with obstacles like roots meeting a boulder, possibilities to either side. I could jump out the window.
No, don't do that.
hopes, lineages branching out. How did I end up so terrified?
Yeah.
Lineages branching out of parent expressions and feeding into marriages. But what if thread's not lonely? Not this thin, isolated, independent storyline hanging by a thread? What if threads that lend their reach and radiance to each other, that grow into finishing each other's sentences, that rhyme and reverberate, that are each other's support and relief and justice? Our true form is not a isolated little thread, alive but barely limited, like a bacterium, lost in a tumble, but a network so mutually grafted and entangled that to pick up a branch of it is to pick up the entire forest. A forest is not a lonely thread out into the vacuum of space, like a spaceship far from home. It's not a pile of wood chips. A linden, like so many along the river, is itself an ecosystem, a clan of branches, a temple of intimacy. The East Branch gifted to the West, balancing one another, giving each other relief, extending each other, gifting each other their radiance, their directions, their wholeness. A squirrel is a world, a nifty squirrel. A world within a world. And around it, the earth is a world. Each mouse, each flower, a little Russian doll earth, each a whole reflection, an embodiment of God, of the full radiance of reality. And we are here to make one such little earth. Like any little earth, it takes in from its surrounding earth, adapts, encompasses and is encompassed, holds as it is held. Here in this cathedral that holds within it a cathedral, continuous with a world that holds it, yet giving it a tilt, a twist, a slightly new direction, a twig for its tree. We're here to crystallize a jewel, crystallize a representation of heaven, shifting from a religious process of retreats and looking away from the world, purifying from the world,
Flying by the world.
to one of world creation, the other great theme of religion. Not retreat, but creation. One day we walked a while near the river Sill,
Yeah, what a beautiful river.
glacial blue,
Such a deep, light blue color. It looked a bit unreal. It's not like the rivers I've seen in my life.
and we came upon a labyrinth. We walked so long to its center, and you were yet able to jump out so quickly, following its radius.
Yeah, it was very well constructed. It was so small, but you could walk forever to the center.
Lines, curves folding back on themselves, and back again, and back again. So quick to step out of. And yet after you stepped out, I walked and walked and walked and walked
Yes.
to get out again. Onward from the labyrinth towards the river sill, we found shady, low stone steps we thought to play Go on. And you said it would be quite realistic to encounter a fellow Go player in the city passing by. And I was very doubtful.
Yeah. As Go is not really popular here, we never seen it being played openly.
But you said that when a 50-year-old passes, it's not this present moment of them passing in which they are clearly not playing Go, but 50 years of them passing, folded up together. And in any one of those years, they could have learned Go.
Might have been when they were still a child, 11 years old, but had really, really lovely experiences with the game, and you reinvigorate that memory. It's like everything is so vast and deep that it's so motivating to explore the depth of it.
We played chess by the river. You were back to the river with the branches above you and through the foliage, the peaks, with huge pieces on a huge board.
Huge public chessboard.
And it felt like such an elven city we had found ourselves in. Such integration of nature and city. From a fantasy book or game. Such integration. One of my knights was missing, so I drafted a pinecone knight.
It was a very little knight.
But he was the hero of my realm. He was so brave, leaping and landing in any fray.
It was so fun because playing chess in this public way with giant chess figures makes it so watchable. We had quite a lot of spectators to our game. Quite a lot of people looked over it and were curious.
We gave the board to the next pair that watched us for a while, and I wondered if they would use the same pinecone with his protective armor, his protective scales.
It's quite a knight.
Scales he made himself.
Yeah, he grew his own armor.
We were walking in Hall, and I was thirsty. And I said, if only I knew where a fountain might be, like that by the chessboard.
And you said it in this longing, kind of sad way.
And then a few steps further along the wall was a crying woman in the wall. And I lapped up her tears.
Yeah, that was fun. It was so symbolic. She really heard your longing.
Everywhere we go, I always remember again that our enchantments, the enchantments of tears flowing down soft stone sheets, puddles on the pavement, is information. It's telling something about the nature of virtue, of beauty, about what good world building is. They're all signals. And what enchants me most is behind us, the layers and layers of foliage, and through foliage, clouds behind clouds, and clouds that, through their presence, reveal as they fall between ridges, that reveal the layers of the mountains.
Being walled in by the mountain cathedrals that are visible from any place in any direction. This is so special.
So practical for navigation. You're never lost here.
Sehr praktisch.
Every layer, the church steeples amidst foliage. Every layer is translucent with negative space, letting the richness behind come through, building up layer upon layer of richness, each inviting an uplifting of the eyes and heart to the cathedral above. Wherever you are, looking up from one's aunt's death circle of chores and tedium and trouble.
Yeah, it really relieves you. Shows you this moment of beauty that has been so forgotten in our time to be so relevant. And you can focus on what actually matters rather than all those petty worries. Puts those worries into perspective as well, as the mountains are so towering and big, and makes them smaller.
We walked past our nearest fountain in the rain, and I noticed deep black mulberries between my barefoot toes, my bare toes. And I looked up, and I was reminded so dearly of my father telling stories about mulberries in Afghanistan. So a part of the lore, the myth there. Toot in the Dari. And further, the deep, dark cherries outside our flat. And I thought, here's something, finally, I can say when I'm asked what I would change about the world. It's so hard to think of something. And here is something I would change. In the style of permacultural forest gardening, I would increase the ratio of fruit trees, tilting the ecology of the forest to human desires, to human tastes.
What a humanist change.
There's a humanist seed within me. But then as we walked, I remembered what would be displaced. The oaks have their acorns that are beloved by many. The lindens, loved by the bees. Every tree has its wonder. And I walked it back. It's very, very hard to find anything at all to change about the world.
It's very perfectly constructed.
This storytelling journey we're embarking on is a tree of threads, the climbing mouths, among so many, that we will take you along with us. A tree that is a book of books. Branches, limbs are like books. And each limb is another page that opens and elaborates into its own books. A book of books. Each axle of limbs, a spine, a book spine, each page opening and elaborating over the episodes, over the weeks and years. So many buds seeded here will open through the years, elaborating, filling out, radiating, forking into sub-stories, subplots. And the branches will meld into each other, supporting each other, themes, rhyming and interweaving. One tree in continuity. I'm fond of saying, we spend our lives writing our eulogies. And in the same way, we don't write this journey the night before, each share a few scribbles before sitting down in the walled garden or wherever we might be with you. We write it every day through the actions we commit to this valley. This isn't a rehearsal anymore. We're writing directly.
It's a true arrival. It's a true growing out of the acorn into a tree.
Nothing we write on the pages of this valley will be crumpled up and thrown away. There's consequence to every encounter.
Every encounter matters. There's not a single person here that lives here that we will probably only see once. Over the next 50 years, everyone matters.
And that's the nature of storytelling. It's the most holistic medium. You can put anything in a novel. Everything can be relevant. It's not a book on badger genetics, a nonfiction exposition. It's a story. Anything and everything can be woven into coherence in a story. It's the most enveloping medium, the most loving medium. And what's rare here is you're watching the story from the beginning, from the very beginning. Our first 13 days here. And there's such an accessibility of inspiration to that. We're here, landing here, knowing no one, with a minimum of resources by all accounts.
We packed our things into a train. Like, we didn't even have enough things to take with us to need a proper car or like a whole act of moving. We just came here, we fell down like the acorn falls down, and now grow our tree. Anyone could do that.
And yet, despite knowing no one, there's a familiarity to the archetypes. The continuity of rhyme and reverberation and echoing through all creation. I feel I've already known our flatmates forever. They feel like they've always been a part of my garden. and I've always been a part of my garden. That foreshadows the feeling I wish for here. An elven forest where everything has always been here. Elves and trees alike. Every element of the forest intimate and known. We know where every clump of violets is, every hillside of hepatica, and it all is eternal, always, so stable, so known. The swirl, the sandstorm come to a rest. Every frame, much like the last, every year, in continuity with the last. No longer a scramble of random puzzle pieces. A single novel, not torn up bits of pages from all the libraries of the world.
Gotta finish that novel. Sounds like a good read.
We woke to fresh snowfall in the night, days before solstice.
Seeing 2 planets the day before.
Jupiter
And Venus.
snuggled up close, just above the peaks.
Yeah.
And
They
you
were
didn't
snuggled
know
No.
that one could see planets
I didn't know.
with one's naked eyes.